There are only 6 more days until a digital Fort Knox is just an executive order away. So Donald Trump has promised to become the most pro-Bitcoin president in U.S. history. His vision is to make the U.S. the most attractive country in the world for Bitcoin capital allocators, businesses, and individual owners. And he promises to do this by removing the regulatory red tape that's blocking Bitcoin from fully integrating into the U.S. banking system, establishing the first ever strategic Bitcoin reserve, among other policies. The SBR is a bold concept where the U.S. would actively allocate into Bitcoin with the dual goals of reinforcing U.S. dollar dominance and addressing the national debt, which of course has ballooned to dangerous levels. And this doesn't seem like lip service. Trump's commitment to Bitcoin is tied directly to his plan to restore economic stability in the U.S. and leadership on the global stage. And recognizing Bitcoin as a key asset in that process has tacitly caused Bitcoin to become a suddenly geopolitically important asset. So when Trump first announced the SBR back in July, Bitcoin began trading in lockstep with his election odds on Polymarket. As you can see in this chart here, the more likely his victory seemed, the higher Bitcoin's price climbed. And by November, once Trump secured the election, you could see Bitcoin skyrocketed from $67,000 to $100K in a matter of weeks. So this meteoric rise, known as the Trump pump, demonstrated the market's belief that the potential impact of a pro-Bitcoin administration is a positive one. And as you can see on this chart, the correlation between Trump's odds and Bitcoin's price was undeniable. So now a second Trump term is just 6 days away. And with that, many are asking, could we see a Trump pump 2.0? The answer might be yes. Consider this. Around the world, countries like Russia are already exploring national Bitcoin reserves. Meanwhile, under the Biden administration, the Department of Justice has approved the selling of the U.S. 200,000 Bitcoin holdings. Of course, that won't happen because it's a part of the active court procedure over actually who owns the Silk Road Bitcoin. But nevertheless, these measures are likely emboldening Trump to move forward on this Bitcoin path with expediency. Trump has an entirely different plan. On day one, he could issue an executive order reclassifying our existing 200K Bitcoin as the strategic Bitcoin reserve. And then he could use funds from the Exchange Stabilization Fund to begin accumulating even more Bitcoin, positioning the US as a global leader in Bitcoin. Trump's seriousness about Bitcoin policy is further underscored by the team that he's assembling. He's bringing in David Sachs to lead a Bitcoin task force, and their mission is to transform the U.S. into the best country in the world for transacting in, holding, and doing business in Bitcoin, as I just mentioned. So from banking to payments to national reserves, every aspect of Bitcoin adoption is on the table. And one of the most significant policy changes Trump is expected to pursue is repealing SAB 121, which is a regulation that creates extreme complexity and compliance burdens for banks that just want to hold Bitcoin. And this repeal would open the floodgates, allowing any U.S. bank to securely custody Bitcoin with far fewer obstacles. Not only that, but create financial instrumentation using Bitcoin, such as Bitcoin-backed loans and mortgages. Spot ETFs have already brought institutions into the market, but Trump's banking reforms would make Bitcoin accessible to every financial institution and potentially every American. But not everything about a Trump presidency is guaranteed to be bullish for Bitcoin. Some people are suggesting that his inauguration could be a sell the news event for Bitcoin. After all, the markets often price in major political events before they happen. But if we take a look back, history actually tells a different story. You can see in that chart that I just showed you, Bitcoin's price wasn't fully reflecting a Trump victory, even though a Trump victory was all but certain until it actually happened, which suggests that all these transformative policies like the SBR may not be fully baked into Bitcoin's price just yet. And as such, his inauguration wouldn't necessarily be a sell the news event. There are risks, though, with Trump's proposed fiscal policies, which include significant cuts to government spending, and that could disrupt the economy, which of course is deeply reliant on running permanent deficits. So if fiscal tightening were to lead to a recession or deflationary pressures, Bitcoin's price could face headwinds even in a pro-Bitcoin environment with things like the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Even still, Trump is poised to be the most pro-Bitcoin president in U.S. history, cementing Bitcoin's status as a geopolitically critical asset. As for what happens next, we've got 6 days to find out. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you taking the time to check this video out. If you liked it, make sure you like and reshare so your friends can see it too, and I'll talk to you soon.